Are you fired up? Are you ready to go? Thank y'all so much for coming out. Give DJ Mel a big round of applause. Y'all know DJ Mel helped to be at the inauguration for President Obama, so we're going to have him at the inauguration of Governor Beto O'Rourke. Let me ask you guys, are you ready to take 10 people to the polls? Are you ready to prove the polls wrong? Are you ready to elect a new governor? Then we're in the right place. I'm Tommy Calvert, Bexar County Commissioner. I'm so proud to have all of this great energy here in my precinct. Listen, I'm going to tell you, all these guys are counting likely voters, but it's the young people and the unlikely voters that are going to win this election. Now listen, we've made it easy for you to take 10 young people to the polls. I had to fight to put a early voting location at every college, but we've got voting locations at San Antonio College, St. Philip's College, Northeast Lakeview, Texas A&M, Our Lady of the Lake, St. Mary's University, UTSA. So you gotta get 10 to come and vote at those locations. I know this is the crowd that can do it. I'm so proud of what you're about to do. Now listen, I know I'm looking in the eyes of a lot of folks who are really pissed off about Roe v. Wade. And so we're not gonna agonize, we're gonna organize our friends to the polls. Listen, Beto has been working so hard for us, and it's this energy and that kind of effort. I mean, his voice is sore, hoarse. He's running out of his voice. But listen, this energy is so important. In fact, he is sacrificing so much for Texans that tonight is the birthday of his wife and his baby boy, Henry. Yeah. So Look, San Antonio, we are the friendship leaders in the state of Texas. And I think we ought to sing happy birthday to little Henry and to Amy, all right? So it's Amy and Henry, okay? So somebody's streaming this, right? Okay, so we got to get ready to stream this to Henry and Amy. Okay, on 3. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Henry and Amy. Happy birthday to you. All right. Happy birthday, y'all. Look, we got to have all hands on deck for this last week of early voting. This is the only weekend of early voting that we've got because we just can't trust Greg Abbott to keep our economic future going. Every 4 years, the people of the state of Texas get to choose someone to represent all of us. But Greg Abbott doesn't want to represent all of us. He just wants to represent the big money special interests. We need Greg Abbott and the Republicans in the legislature to stop cutting funding for public schools and raising our taxes. We are competing with China and India and all over the world, and if we don't have the best educated workforce and people in the state of Texas, we can't keep Texas strong. Are y'all with me on this? But Greg Abbott isn't doing that. We can't trust Greg Abbott to keep our kids safe either, can we? He is kowtowing to the big money gun lobby. He has not passed a 21-year-old. That's right. You should let him hear it. For all of those states that have raised the age to get a weapon to 21, they've lowered gun violence by something like 80+%. Common sense is not so common in Greg Abbott's household. We can't trust Greg Abbott to ensure that our people are safe and that our children are safe. I trust Flint drinking water more than I do Greg Abbott. I tell you, I trust Bill Cosby's drinks more than I do Greg Abbott. I trust the 78 Ford Pinto more than I do Greg Abbott. If we're going to make Texas the leader in the things that we love and we care about, we got to elect Beto O'Rourke, don't we? As I get ready to introduce our great Congressman Joaquin Castro, I just need one more thing from you all. I need you to check in with all the seniors that you know. You're in my precinct right here in Precinct 4, and in large parts of it, 38% of senior mail ballots were rejected in their first go-around because they forgot to put the Social Security number and driver's license number underneath the flap. The Republicans trying to shave off the votes and keep our folks from voting, and you have the power to make sure that our seniors' votes are counted. Are you with me on this? All right, this is a crowd. Man, I would take you all into any battle. Give it up for the congressman from the 20th Congressional District, Joaquin Castro.
Thank you, Tommy. Good evening. How's everybody doing? Are we ready to elect Beto O'Rourke, the next governor of the state of Texas? Somebody asked me the other day, they said, why are you supporting Beto? What's wrong with Greg Abbott? Let me tell you something. Beto is everything Greg Abbott is not. All right? Beto and I came into the Congress together in 2013. And in Beto, you have a serious policymaker and a serious candidate. You have somebody who cares about the people of Texas. Somebody who puts the people before his career and his politics. I want you to think about this for a second, because we're almost near the end of this campaign. And I want to say, first of all, I think all of us should say thank you, Beto, for everything that you've done for Texas, for Democrats, for traveling around the state, for visiting every county, for going places that people have not gone in 20, 30, 40 years. Thank you. Thank you. San Antonio thanks you. The people of Texas thank you. And really, the country thanks you. I want you to ask yourself what kind of person, not just what kind of politician, but what kind of person realizes that hundreds of people die in a freeze in our home state and does absolutely nothing. Not only does absolutely nothing, but gives a sweetheart deal to his multi-million-dollar contributors within a few months of hundreds of Texans dying. Re-electing Greg Abbott is dangerous for the people of Texas. Dangerous. And what kind of person watches as people get gunned down in El Paso, Texas, Sutherland Springs, and Uvalde, Texas, 21 people, and says it could have been worse? I'll tell you what could be worse. We could have Greg Abbott for 4 more years. That's how it could be worse. What kind of person does that? What kind of person refuses to just raise the age from 18 to 21 to get an assault rifle so that people can't kill so easily? So that dangerous people can't get dangerous weapons in their hand so easily. It's Greg Abbott. It's Greg Abbott, and it's somebody that doesn't care about the people of Texas. That's absolutely right. And so when I say that Beto O'Rourke is everything that Greg Abbott is not, that's what I'm talking about. Because re-electing Greg Abbott would be dangerous for us. And Beto O'Rourke is the answer to that, because we're going to elect him in November, the next governor of the state of Texas. And I mentioned earlier, he's done an incredible job at the top of our ticket. But you know, through his hard work and the work of so many candidates in San Antonio and throughout Texas, we got to make sure that not only do we replace Greg Abbott, but we also take out his friends and replace Dan Patrick, the worst lieutenant governor in the state of Texas. And that we make sure that Rochelle Garza becomes the new attorney general in the state of Texas. because it's none of Greg Abbott, Dan Patrick, or Ken Paxton's goddamn business what a woman decides to do and the decision she decides to make. We don't have too much time left, but every single vote counts. We don't need to pay attention to any polls anymore. We don't need to watch any more cable news about this anymore. We need to get out and vote. We need you to walk every block that you can, make every phone call that you can, give every dollar that you can, vote for every Democrat up and down the ballot that you can, and make this man the next governor of the state of Texas, my great friend of many years, Beto O'Rourke.
Hey, San Antonio! Yes. You all know how to make some noise. And I appreciate that because as you can tell, my voice is a little shot. But while my voice is a little bit quiet, yours has to be that much louder going forward, right? Thank you. Hey. Listening to Joaquin Castro right now, listening to Tommy Calvert, makes me so damn proud to be a Texan, to be a Democrat, to see these two fighters who are standing up and going to the mat for each and every single one of us, calling those folks out for what they are and making sure that we win up and down the ballot. Let's hear it for Joaquin and Tommy right now. Thank you all for being out here. Okay, I gotta tell you, on a very personal note, we traveled to 6 different polling places today across San Antonio. I saw some of you there. And I got to tell you, it gives me so much hope the way that you are choosing to meet this moment. It gives so many other people across the state so much hope the way that you are choosing to meet this moment. But I ask this of you now. Let this not be a false hope. There are so many good people out there who are going through so much at this moment because of our current governor and our current government. The darkness that descended on this community last February, literally, when the person in power could not keep the power flowing to the people that he served, when the temperature dropped in the energy capital of the world, your lights went out, the heat stopped running, the water stopped flowing as well because it was frozen in those pipes above your head that soon burst and ruined your floorboards and your drywall. $10 billion of damage to your homes and businesses across the state of Texas. The kicker is that grid is still not fixed. We're no better protected going into this next winter than we were in the last. And I know that for some of you, you wonder about being able to keep yourself or your loved ones alive. This is a life or death election for you. For the women and the girls who are with us right now. Because of Greg Abbott, you live in a state where you're unable to make your own decisions about your own body. A total ban on abortion that begins at conception, with no exception for rape, no exception for incest. And I've listened to the women across the state. They have told me functionally and effectively there is no exception for the life of the mother or the woman involved. I'll tell you what, I'm well aware that we live in a state that is at the epicenter of a crisis of maternal mortality that is 3 times as deadly for black women in the state of Texas. I know that this is a life and death election for you and by extension for all of us. And because of Greg Abbott, we now lead the nation in the number of school shootings. Gun violence, the leading cause of death for children and for teenagers, literally the most vulnerable among us. And though we all know and mourn the loss of life at Uvalde and El Paso, in Midland, Odessa, Sutherland Springs, and Santa Fe High School, we also know this. Every fucking day in this state, young people lose their lives to gun violence so numbingly common that their names no longer make the newspapers. We no longer see their faces on TV. It is as though we've accepted or at least the people in power have, this as the price of living and dying in the state of Texas. This is a life and death election for the children among us. And then there's this. Think about those two teachers in Uvalde who gave their lives on the 24th of May, 2022, trying to save the lives of those children in those classrooms who they'd already given so much, literally the best years of their lives, to try to come through for those kids. I know that you out there, the counselors, the librarians, the classroom teachers, the support staff, though you are not paid enough to not have to work a second or a third job to make ends meet, out of your own pocket, you pay for that third meal for the kid on free and reduced breakfast and lunch. You pay for that new set of clothes for the kid who shows up in the same dirty pair of jeans Monday through Friday, probably the same dirty pair of chones underneath those dirty pair of jeans. And you want to make sure that he can hold his head up high and learn with dignity right next to those other kids in the classroom. So out of your own pocket, you pay for him to be able to get ahead and do well and live to his full potential. But in this state, on average, you're underpaid by $7,500 a year. You don't work that second job for spending cash. You work it to make the note on the mortgage or put food on the table or fill that prescription for your kid. And yet day in and day out, you walk into that classroom. You connect with those kiddos. You literally are keeping them alive right now after 2 years of pandemic, 2 years of learning loss, and 2 years of trauma. You are my heroes. This is an election about the life or death of public education in the state of Texas. And then when it comes to our democracy, right now, as the congressman was saying, it is harder to vote in the state of Texas, harder to get your name on the rolls, to be registered to vote in the state of Texas than anywhere else in America. And when those ballots were rejected in March of this year, because senior citizens couldn't remember the form of ID with which they originally used to register, to match it with the form of ID that they have today, I want you to know this, Military City, USA. Among them was a 95-year-old World War II veteran, meaning that this guy was willing to give his life for all of us, to fight fascism back in 1944, half a world away, to defend democracy right here at home. And that guy had his ballot by mail rejected not once, but 3 times in this state. But here's where my hope lies. In the challenge that we face from all of these attacks on our fellow Texans and on all of us are those who chose to come out here today. You could have succumbed to this. You could have submitted to this. You could have been tempted to despair in the face of these challenges, but instead you chose to come out. Those whom I met at the polling places today chose to vote, and you're making a commitment right now to do everything within your power to make sure that we reach that majority that is out there that wants better for Texas, that wants change for Texas, that wants this state to rise to its promise and deliver for every single one of us. And when we think about that democracy and those who've been denied the ballot in this state, let me make it clear. Those voter suppression laws are not aimed at people who look like me. They're aimed at those against whom they've always been aimed. Black voters, brown voters, voters of color, the very poor, the very old, and the very young. 7 million were unable to cast a ballot in the 2020 election, not because they're lazy, not for any lack of love of this democracy, but because effectively and functionally they have been drawn out. You and you alone have the power to draw them back in. It will not be the candidate. It will not be our political party. It will be the people. They may or may not see my television ads. They may or may not be among us right now. They may not be watching the live stream, but they know you And when they see you out there voting, when you post on social media why this is the election of our lifetimes, because literally our lives are on the line, when you ask them to vote in this race, when you sign up with our volunteers who are wearing these yellow jackets, who have block walking shifts that you're welcome to join us in, you literally get in front of those voters who've been disenfranchised, who've been drawn out, and you bring them in and ensure that they are the margin of victory when we win this on election night, November 8th. You all with me? And I want you to think about this. I want you to think about what is possible when we win. Every woman in Texas making her own decisions about her own body, her own future, her own health care. Prioritizing the lives of our kids over the interests of the NRA or the gun lobby in this state. Having the backs of our public school educators, paying them enough not to work a second or a third job. Ensuring those retired teachers get a cost of living adjustment every single year going forward. And because you need more valuable classroom time to focus on those kids, we will cancel the STAR test in the state of Texas going forward. We're going to make sure that we pay any price, bear any burden, to come through on our commitment for those veterans and military retirees who call San Antonio and Texas their home. We will make sure that there is a roof over the head of every veteran experiencing homelessness today. That we learn the lesson from those who served this country in Vietnam and waited 40 years for their exposure to Agent Orange to be treated as a presumptive condition for the cancers that claim them, and for those coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan exposed to those toxic burn pits. We're setting up a toxic burn pit registry right here in the state of Texas. And the veterans who have told us they don't want to be prescribed an opioid to which they may become addicted and from which they may die. They want to use something else that relieves their symptoms, restores their appetite, allows them to sleep. That's why we're going to legalize marijuana in the state of Texas going forward. We're going to make sure that we don't put people behind bars for just being able to take care of themselves. And given the fact that disproportionately it has been black and brown Texans who have served time, who have to check a box on every employment application form, we're going to expunge the arrest records of everyone who has done time for marijuana possession in the state of Texas. For those of you who have experienced the foster care system in the state of Texas, I just want you to know that I have listened to you. I have heard you. Your stories about young people who emerge more damaged than when they went into CPS custody and care. Those CPS caseworkers who are overworked and underpaid and see so many of their colleagues leaving the profession right now. And the fact that for the last 8 years, Greg Abbott has been warned about how dire the situation is for these kids. And yet, from 2020 to today, 100 children have lost their lives in CPS custody and care. Literally, the most vulnerable among us. Well, when we win, we will elevate them to our highest priority, make sure that they have the resources they need to make sure that they are well, that they live to their full potential, that they too fulfill their promise. And lastly, when it comes to this democracy so under attack in the state of Texas, let's make sure that not only we win this election by bringing in the disenfranchised, but when we do, let's make it easier to get on the rolls. That means online voter registration. It means automatic voter registration. You turn 18, you're on the rolls. It means no more gerrymandered districts in the state of Texas. We hate that shit. And then this, when we win, We will replace Confederate Heroes Day as a state holiday with Election Day as a state holiday. Take the day off work and cast that ballot. Think about this. Think about this. Not only can we overcome these challenges, we've overcome much bigger ones right here in this state against much longer odds. Just think about reproductive health care freedom. 50 years ago, abortion just as illegal in the state of Texas as it is today. But no one came to ride to the rescue of Texas women. It was actually young Texas women who rode to the rescue of the rest of the country. Women like Jane Roe and Linda Coffey and Sarah Weddington. Those three Texas women prevailed upon an all-male United States Supreme Court to win protection for the right to privacy, to make personal, very often painful decisions without government interference or intrusion. Now, if Texas women won that right 50 years ago, Texas women are going to win it back in 2022. Whether it was those three Texas women or civil rights and voting rights heroes like Rosie Castro or Lawrence Nixon or Lonnie Smith, we are literally standing on the shoulders of those who have preceded us and who have made this moment and this victory possible. And I want you to think about the fact that we are the heirs to their service, to their sacrifice, and to their struggle. And what we do with that will determine our future and define us in the eyes of our kids and in the pages of history forever going forward. We cannot be found wanting. We must come through. Because the youngest generation, including Joaquin Castro's son, who's here with us today, he does not get a vote in this election except through the actions that we take and the commitments that we make right now, 12 days out from the election of our lifetimes. So I want you to think about what you are willing to do over the next 12 days. How many doors can you knock on? How many conversations can you have? How many Republican mothers-in-law can you talk to? And bring them over to our side and make sure that they know that this is a campaign for Republicans, for Democrats, for independents, for big city kids and those who live in our rural communities. This is a campaign for those who are gay. This is a campaign for those who are straight. This is a campaign for those who've been here for 8 generations. This is a campaign for those who just got here 8 days ago. We are doing this for everyone. You all ready to win? Let's go win this thing. Let's go, San Antonio. Les agradezco. Gracias. Hey. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate you all.